Yeah, Coach. Down as many 31, and then obviously made the comeback to get within one. Just speak to what you saw tonight. Obviously not the start you wanted, but they fought their way obviously to get back in if they got within a point.
Yeah, I mean it obviously was not the start that we wanted. They came out shooting the heck out of the ball. Even the threes they made, a lot of those threes were off the dribble with a hand in their face. It's like, what defense do you have for that? But I thought the turnovers in the first half really put us in a tough spot. We played hard, but we kept turning the ball over, and they were switching a lot of our actions, and we didn't handle it well, especially in the first quarter. But the third quarter, I think we had one turnover, scored 37 points. And our team is resilient. They fight. All the stuff that, a city like ours can be proud of. And then when it came down the stretch, I thought the 2 threes that Serge hit really put us in a bit of a bind. I don't think he had scored until that point, and then he hit 2 big threes. And we still had a chance to tie it up, got a decent look off, but just didn't work out for us. But I just love the way we scrap and battle, and we know we can beat that team. Because we've done it before. We just got to get off to a better start than we did tonight.
And then just to follow up, obviously, Paul came out the game, and then, Devin and Paul George kind of got into it a little bit. Is that when you're looking at, okay, we're showing fight, we're not going to just lay down in the situation? I mean, do you see it that way? Or maybe you see it differently. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Well, even before that, I know we have a team that just, won't give in. I played Book the whole second half because he just didn't want to come out. And, I trust him to, be Book in those moments. I don't think the situation with Paul did anything for either team. I just think it happens. There wasn't a change of play after that. Those guys were competing and going after each other a little bit. That stuff happens in games.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Brendan Clean.
Hey, Coach, it was 10 turnovers in the first 15 minutes, but then you guys went on this 27-minute run with only 1. What'd you see change from the offense to have such a drastic change like that?
We weren't playing with pace. They were switching, and we were, surprised by it. You know what I mean? That's, something that we've dealt with in the past where teams have went to random switching or switches on us, and it was like a stop sign for our offense. Couple that with the fact that they were making shots, so we were always taking the ball out of the net. Once we started moving and playing with pace and getting some stops, the game changed. And like you said, we didn't turn the ball over. And so we stopped with our 0.5 and we turned the ball over. That's a bad combination. And then on top of that, they made some ridiculous shots, especially Paul George.
Next is Brendan Clean with Bright Side of the Sun, followed by Joe Pequena.
Hey, Coach, with the performance that PG had, I'm just curious if there was anything you saw from him that you guys weren't executing on. I mean, some of those threes he's making are kind of, I guess, just something going to live with. But where was the breakdown happening if there was one?
Well, he was making shots off the dribble. He was 7 for 10 from 3. That's Steph Curry type stuff. And when you guys are shooting off the dribble like that, you want to get the ball out of his hands. We did that a few times, and it caused him some problems. But then we got in foul trouble. And then once you get into foul trouble, you're struggling with trapping because he's smart enough to run into our bigs and foul those guys out and get to the line. And so we were caught in a bit of a bind. But I thought our guys, we made it tough on him. He just made some crazy shots. Chris got an offensive foul on him. He was battling him. Book did the same. DA played decent defense on him. We just couldn't get our hand up high enough on his shots. A lot of his shots, I didn't even feel like he could see the basket. He was just throwing it up, and it was going in. So we went to blitz on him. We went to switches on him. He just had one of those nights.
Next is Joe Pequena with Fanatic Sports Radio, followed by Gina Mizell.
Hey, Coach. Good effort on the comeback. I want to get your thoughts on what your team can take away from this because you could have laid down, but you guys fought back right to the very end.
Yeah, I mean, that's who we are. Obviously, the takeaway is we got to get off to a better start. in the NBA, it's an old adage that when you come off of a road trip, you typically have a slow start. And I was afraid that was going to happen. That's why we got the guys up this morning to have a shoot around just so we can get the blood flowing a little bit, because we had an off day, just to, give our guys a chance to have a normal day. We just got off to a slow start. The takeaway is, in our next game, we got to come out playing our kind of basketball and impose our will from the jump. I didn't think we imposed it until midway through that second quarter. We started playing our kind of basketball.
All right, Coach, final two questions are Gina Mizell and then Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, you mentioned playing Devin the entire second half, and so I'm just curious what your thought process was with trying to manage your making this comeback. You leave him in for the beginning of the fourth quarter when you usually rest, just kind of how you try to manage that in your own brain.
Well, after the third quarter was over with, he got my attention and was, he just didn't want to come out. And those are those moments where I have to trust him. I felt like he had good energy throughout the fourth quarter. He expended a lot on both ends, but that's who he is. I mean, he wants to play 48 minutes anyway. So that's not uncommon for Book. Thankfully, we have a day to recover, and we'll get some good work in on the next day and get ready. But that's who Devin is. He's a competitor. There's no one on our team that competes more than him.
Last question is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic.
Yeah, Coach. This is back-to-back 20-point games for Aiden, and he hit a big shot in the fourth quarter. What do you think about him, finding his offense and finding his way within what you guys are trying to do?
Well, he's starting to dominate in the paint, especially on the switches. It kind of takes him a minute to figure out what teams are doing in pick and roll, but then once he figures that out, his seals have been fundamental, and offensive rebounding has helped us. So that last and one he got was case in point. We just got to, figure it out from the jump and try to take advantage of his ability to score down there and generate offense for our shooters. And I mean, how many open looks did we have in the first half that we weren't even close? If we could have made a fourth of those shots, it would have been a different game in the first half. And who knows, but that's what DA can do. He can punish switches and generate open threes for our guys. We just had an off night shooting the ball, especially in the first half.